Dear Father, if left to my own devices, my perception will be skewed. I surrender to you everything that I think and feel. Please enable me an open mind and a new experience. Allow me to set aside everything I think I know. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. We are in chapter 28 of A Course in Miracles, Little Gap. We are reading with the Course Companions with commentary by Robert Perry, and Robert Perry is also the editor of this complete and annotated edition I'm reading from. And we are in section 7, the Ark of Safety. God asks for nothing, and his Son, like him, need ask for nothing, for there is no lack in him. An empty space, a little gap, would be a lack, and it is only there that he could want for something he has not. A space where God is not, a gap between the Father and the Son, is not the will of either, who have promised to be one. God's promise is a promise to himself, and there is no one who could be untrue to what he wills as part of what he is. The promise that there is no gap between himself and what he is cannot be false. Footnote 32. Between himself and what he is means between the Father and the Son. And back to the text. What will can come between what must be one and in whose wholeness there can be no gaps? The beautiful relationship you have with all your brothers is part of you because it is part of God himself. Are you not sick if you deny yourself your wholeness and your health? The source of help, the call to healing, and the call to heal. Your Savior waits for healing, and the world waits with him. Nor are you apart from it, for healing will be one or not at all. Its oneness being where the healing lies. What could correct for separation but its opposite? There is no middle ground in any aspect of salvation. You accept it wholly or accept it not. What is unseparated must be joined, and what is joined cannot be separate. Either there is a gap between you and your brother, or you are as one. There is no in-between, no other choice, and no allegiance to be split between the two. A split allegiance is but faithlessness to both, and merely sets you spinning round to grasp uncertainly at any straw that seems to hold some promise of relief. Yet who can build his home upon a straw and count on it as shelter from the wind? Split allegiance is but faithlessness to both, and merely sets you spinning round to grasp uncertainly at any straw that seems to hold some promise of relief. Yet who can build his home upon a straw and count on it as shelter from the wind? 33. Matthew 7:26-27. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house upon the sand, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. See the following footnote for comments. And then back to the text. The body can be made a home like this because it lacks foundation in the truth. And yet because it does, it can be seen as not your home, but merely as an aid to help you reach the home where God abides. With this as purpose is the body healed. It is not used to witness to the dream of separation and disease, nor is it idly blamed for what it did not do. It serves to help the healing of God's Son, and for this purpose it cannot be sick. It will not join a purpose not your own, and you have chosen that it not be sick. All miracles are based upon this choice and given you the instant it is made. No forms of sickness are immune because the choice cannot be made in terms of form. The choice of sickness seems to be a form, yet it is one as its opposite. And you are sick or well accordingly. But never you alone. This world is but the dream that you can be alone and think without affecting those apart from you. To be alone must mean you are apart, and if you are, you cannot be but sick. This seems to prove that you must be apart, yet all it means is that you tried to keep a promise to be true to faithlessness. Yet faithlessness is sickness. It is like the house upon a straw. It seems to be quite solid and substantial in itself, but its stability cannot be judged apart from its foundation. If it rests on straws, there is no need to bar the door and lock the windows and make fast the bolts. The wind will topple it, and rain will come and carry it into oblivion. 34, Matthew 7:26-27, and everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house upon the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. This section is a creative application of this metaphor in which the house built upon the sand becomes the body when its foundation is faithlessness. This is likened to building one's home, not on sand, but on straw. At that point, no matter how much one bars the door and locks the windows, the wind and rain will easily carry off the house. What is the sense in seeking to be safe in what was made for danger and for fear? Why burden it with further locks and chains and heavy anchors, when its weakness lies not in itself, but in the frailty of the little gap of nothingness whereon it stands? What can be safe which rests upon a shadow? Would you build your home upon what will collapse beneath a feather's weight? Your home is built upon your brother's health, upon his happiness, his sinlessness, and everything his Father promised him. No secret promise you have made instead has shaken the foundation of his home. The winds will blow upon it, and the rain will beat against it, but with no effect. The world will wash away, and yet this house will stand forever, for its strength lies not within itself alone. It is an ark of safety, resting on God's promise that his Son is safe forever in himself. Footnote 35. This is a reference to the story of Noah's Ark in Genesis 6:9, at the end of which God places a rainbow in the sky as a sign of his promise that the waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. Genesis 9:15. In the above reference, our real home is an ark of safety that rests not on the sea, nor on any worldly foundation, but on God's eternal promise that his Son is safe forever in himself. What gap can interpose itself between the safety of this shelter and its source? From here the body can be seen as what it is, and neither less nor more in worth than the extent to which it can be used to liberate God's Son onto his home. And with this holy purpose is it made a home of holiness a little while, because it shares your Father's will with you. Thank you for joining with me. We are reading Robert Perry's Commentary, Day 330, Section 7 of Chapter 28, The Little Gap. This is the Ark of Safety. This section seems to come down to two questions. While in this world, what do we see as our home, and what do we see as the foundation on which that home is built? As I understand this section, the home we typically choose is the body. In this sense, we are all like hermit crabs, carrying our house around with us wherever we go. While doing so, we make sure it is in good repair, freshly painted, and well protected from storms and other threats. Think of the attention we lavish on this house so that it's the domicile of our dreams and the envy of our neighbors. There is, however, a fatal flaw in our plan. The condition of this home lies not in itself, but rather depends entirely on the foundation which it is built. As homeowners know, the foundation is a big deal, and anybody in a 12-step program. I had friends years ago whose house had a problem with its foundation, with the result that the house had developed a serious crack right through the middle of it. My memory is that this problem was virtually unfixable, which made the house basically unsellable. We have a similar problem, for we have built our home upon the little gap that lies between us and our brother. This means our house is resting upon lack, for the gap entails the sacrifice of the beautiful relationship we have with our brothers, a relationship that is a basic part of us. Why would we deny ourselves that? It also means that our house rests on faithlessness, where we are split between reality and illusion, giving our total faith to neither one. Such a flimsy, empty foundation, Jesus says, is like building your house upon straw. No matter how strong and sturdy the house itself is, its foundation is easily carried away by the slightest breeze. This makes our efforts at protecting this house kind of comical. While we scurry about taking our pills and getting our shots and ingesting our magic potions, we aren't attending to the one problem that threatens to get the whole house swept away, its foundation. And so, no matter what we do, this house becomes sick and injured and frail, just as the straw on which it rests is blown about by the winds of life. We need to stand on a new foundation. Our new foundation needs to be the fact that we are one with our brother. Given this oneness with us, our foundation also needs to be his health, his happiness, his sinlessness, and everything his Father promises him. Can we picture making that the rock on which we stand? Our current foundation is basically the opposite of that. While we are looking out for our separate self, we secretly celebrate our brother's misfortune and misalign his innocence. So can we genuinely imagine making our foundation his welfare and holiness, because he is literally part of us? Doing that has direct implications for our body. First, we will no longer see our body as our home. It will leave center stage, stop being the hero of our story, and become merely a useful prop on stage. Now it's just an aid to help us get home. It's just there to be an instrument of healing. As much as we resist demoting the body in this way, we can certainly imagine it making life simpler and more stress-free. Stress-free, baby, stress-free. Second, our body is healed. All we need to do, Jesus says, is make our purpose in life the healing of God's Son, and our body will fall in line. It will turn into the poster child for this healing. Can you imagine? After all our efforts at staying healthy, a single decision can grant us the health and vitality we have always wanted. Yet, I had to pause on that for a while. Yet, if our body is no longer seen as our home, now what is our home? Or what now is our home? Jesus doesn't really say. Surely it must be of the mind. And just as surely it is a home we share with our brother. This home could not be more different than the body. See how Jesus describes it in this magnificent passage. The winds will blow upon it, and the rain will beat against it, but with no effect. The world will wash away, and yet this house will stand forever, for its strength lies not within itself alone. It is an ark of safety, resting on God's promise that his Son is safe forever in himself. Do we want this to be our new home, an ark of safety wherein we live at one with our brother? Haven't we had enough of life in our current crumbling shack? All we need to do is give up our secret oath to stay separate. We just need to take our stand on God's promise to us that we will always be one and that we will always be safe. Thank you so much for joining with me. Day 330, the conclusion of chapter 28, The Little Gap. This is day 130, section 7, The Ark of Safety. I love you. Thank you so much for joining with me.